your spouse is a stockbroker, would you mind sharing some of them? We'd appreciate it. Advisory services offered through Second Half Financial Partners, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. The opinions voiced and information provided in this material are for general informational purposes only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which investments are appropriate for you, please consult with a financial advisor. Second Half Financial Partners, LLC does not provide tax or legal advice. Please consult your tax or legal advisor regarding your particular situation. We rarely talk in our sleep. We do it while we're wide awake each morning, filling you in as to what's going on around Wall Street. Philip Statler from Statler Financial Services in downtown Sebring is here today. And I forgot to ask Philip, where is the accident that tied you up on 27? Because I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, it was right before Sparta Road heading south. I detoured down Tubbs Road and came around that way, but a bit of a backup there. So, yeah. It's all clear now.
You know, I've always had the feeling that we ought to have a mandated trip for everybody in Highlands County to Tampa and Orlando just once each year so they appreciate the fact that even when 27 does get tied up, we're awful lucky around here compared to big cities. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, I would definitely. It normally gets cleared up relatively quickly, and you're back on the way to get to where you're trying to get to. But hey, Dave, welcome to the last of May.
Can you believe that? I was mentioning earlier, the last Friday in May here already. It's just the month has gone by like an absolute flash. And the market is just absolutely tickled pink at the moment based on yesterday. Every index except for the Dow set a new record, and the Dow was no slouch. It was up by about 25 points. So we start this morning out at 50,669 on the Dow. S&P was up 43 plus. That was another new record. NASDAQ was up 243 points. That's over 0.9%. That's a new record. And the Russell was up by a little more than 0.5% as well and set a new all-time record. Boy, you can't tell. Inflation sucks. The unemployment rate is, not as low as we'd like it to be. And we're still saber-rattling over in Iran. Like I said, you'd think the world was a really happy place right now, wouldn't you?
You would, Dave, except for if you talk to people like I do face to face, there is concern about all of those things you just talked about. But the market doesn't seem to be paying any attention to those folks.
And I, for the life of me, I can't understand it. All of those old rules of thumb are just not happening, except for the price of oil going down overnight to generate stuff. It's really, everything is still in an iffy situation. Yeah, we got news stories that we're about an inch away from a 60-day ceasefire with Iran. They can't tie the ribbons on it for full peace because Iran still doesn't want to give up their uranium. But they, at the very least, the terms I heard was that within 30 days, Iran will let ships through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, that ends up making me think, okay, we had a report yesterday we could be in a real crunch time as far as an oil supply in about 30 or 45 days. It takes a good month for a tanker to get to the refineries out of there. That almost looks to me like a guarantee that we're going to be in some really deep doo-doo before we can get that crude oil through the Straits of Hormuz and into a refinery.
It definitely is going to be a close call.
It's going to be on the tight side. Just like I said, it's all good news, but it's not good enough news to really solve our problems. And that's got the Federal Reserve governors that are out on the rubber chicken circuit starting to change their tune a little bit. One of the guys is out. Chris Waller has always been more worried about the labor market than he has been the inflation, and now he's talking about potential rate hikes at their next meeting. Lisa Cook, another governor that has always been on the waffly side anyway, she's now fully prepared to raise rates if inflation doesn't come down timely. At the very least, the new Federal Reserve Board, led by Kevin Warsh, is starting to sound almost coherent about being worried about inflation, which we haven't heard a lot about lately, have we?
Oh, we have not, though. I think because it's going the wrong direction. They're just not talking about it. But to hear these governors talking about raising interest rates is quite encouraging, to say the least. Nobody wants interest rates to go up, but we've got to squash this inflation, and the tools are getting really limited.
Absolutely. And the PCE numbers that we got yesterday, which was always at the very least Jay Powell's preferred term and preferred measurement, they're going in the wrong direction. It's not like they're not settling down fast enough. They're actually going in the wrong direction. We had one of the two indexes in the personal consumption expenditure index that, if you round up, it's up to 4%. And that's absolutely nowhere near where the Federal Reserve knows we need to be in order to coordinate the money supply. The only way of keeping up with that is to raise the money supply, and that cause more inflation. So, I mean, they're, like you say, their tools are kind of limited. We got rate hikes, and that's about it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's see what they all say this next meeting, and it will be an interesting one to say the least.
It absolutely is going to be interesting. Software stocks actually recovered a little bit yesterday. That's one of the reasons we had so many record closes. Anthropic, one of the big artificial intelligence private concerns, now officially is bigger than OpenAI, kind of the company regarded as being the vendor of this entire mess. They put a new flagship version of their chatbot Claude out yesterday, and that got everybody excited. Do you use ChatGPT?
Yeah, I typically use that. And I use Manus a little bit, but I'm starting to look at Claude. I got to get in there and start looking at it because I got a couple buddies that use it and say it will do some more things that Chat it does, but Claude does it better.
I've been on ChatGPT a little bit more than the rest of them, and the new chatbot on ChatGPT that updated about a week ago is suddenly much friendlier. It's starting to sound like Siri on steroids, which, quite frankly, I'm not interested in a friendly computer. I want an answer to my question. That's pretty much it. And I'm now getting, well, how you doing, Dave, out of my chatbots, which kind of makes me worried. Talking about high tech, probably the marquee of the bunch that I saw out of the reports is our friends at Dell. They must have kicked butt because their stock just absolutely skyrocketed yesterday. How did they do anyway?
They did, Dave. They really did. I mean, I'm a little behind because of that accident, but they did. They came in at $17.90 a share adjusted earnings. The expectation was a little over $13 a share. So a significant beat, even on revenue. Expectation was high. I mean, they came in at 100. They expected 142 billion. And so I think they came in somewhere around 165 billion. So some good news there. They so they are trading up. They raised their guidance for the year, which is, helps a lot. But to be up 35% almost, that's just crazy.
On a $424 a share stock too, I might add.
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, I'm used to seeing numbers like that on the stocks that are trading for $5, $8, $12, 33%. Okay, fine, but holy crud, 33.87% yesterday. It's up 35% up now. We're talking about monster numbers. That's like $120 a share up, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. Let me see. I can tell you exactly what that number was here. Just a second. Let me get to it. It
Doing the math in my head because my
109, up $109. It actually closed yesterday at 317.
Crud. The overnight trading just went apey on that one. I've got to believe that probably was a rising tide that lifted all the other hardware makers as well. We'll have to look at that later on. What other indications have you got for the day?
So we got some other retail coming in, American Eagle, Outfitters. Not so good compared to the other stuff we saw yesterday. They operating income was kind of as expected, 65 million this last quarter, but looking ahead, a little disappointing. They expect the number to be between 45 and 50 million in revenue. Not exactly what the street wanted to see. And it has them trading down almost 14% this morning.
Not an ideal world. Any other indications?
Well, we do got a couple more. We got Gap reported as well, and they're kind of in the same boat as American Eagle Outfitters. They cut their sales outlook for the year, um, and their adjusted earnings were up a little bit better than expected by a penny a share, but their forward-looking outlook is not good, kind of like American Outfitters. They're down 15.2% today, kind of the opposite of what we saw in yesterday's retail numbers.
Yeah, about the time you get good news, somebody turns around and slaps you in the face with bad news, don't they?
Yeah, definitely having some issues there. I'm trying to see if there's anything else really
Just say one
of
more before we set the
interest.
table.
So there's Autodesk. Autodesk is a subscription design engineering software type company. Revenue fell short for the quarter. Their subscriptions slipped by 7%. So that was not real good news for them. I'm just not finding much good news other than Dell today. So they're trading down 6.8% this morning.
I think that's a good time to set the table and do some optimism. Everything was up yesterday. Records on every index except for the Dow. 45 minutes before we open this morning. What are we looking at?
Dave, I've got green ink on the indexes. I mean, the Dow's up a little over 1/4%. The S&P 500 is up between a tenth and 0.2%, as well as the Nasdaq 100. The only red spot is the Russell 2000 down 1/4%. On the other side, we do have silver still down about 0.2. Gold's up almost 0.4%, and crude oil party time down 1.8% right now, $87.25 a barrel. Let's just keep going down.
Absolutely. By Monday, I may be able to afford a tank of gas. Looking overseas, the Asian Rim market almost evenly off. They're probably unhappy with that 30-day timeline for reopening the strait. The mainland Chinese markets were off by, on average, about 1% at the close at 6 a.m. Europe is optimistic now. Everybody's in green ink. The average European index up by about 0.5% halfway through the European trading day. Getting my retirement together takes a plan. You specialize in plans. Philip, how can I turn my dreams into plans with help from you?
Exactly, Dave. We want to help everybody out there have a plan. The closer you get to retirement, the more important it is to have that plan in place. Give us a call at 863-382-0037 to schedule your 30-minute phone call where we'll see if you are on the right track to the retirement that you always dreamed of. And then join us this weekend for the Statler Financial Radio Show, 6 a.m. and noon on Saturday, 10 a.m. Sunday morning on Highlands News Talk, 7:30 a.m., 95.3 FM.
And us again next week. We'll find out whether or not we can hold on to these gains and make it a good May. You have a good weekend, my friend, and I'll see you next week, all right?
All right, buddy. Take care.
Thank you. It's 105.7 Light FM and Statler Financial Services. Philip Statler.
Hey, folks, again, thank you for joining us. May is over next week. June is here as we get ready to wrap up the second quarter of the year. Stay tuned. Talk to me on Tuesday. Until then, have a great weekend. Bye now.